108 minutes to quarantine failure. Master.
Iteration.
Reset.
1.
No current alarms. Vault
1.
temperature within normal parameters.
8.
Vault pressure within normal parameters.
2.
Vault humidity within
0.
normal parameters. Vault integrity
1.
test report secured.
3. 2. 1. 0. 0.
Talk show.
We'll do it live.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Manual override achieved. For station uplink, enter 3, 2.
Hello, I'm Sergeant Perino, and you're listening to a communication from Station 7, or The Door. Station 7 is a sociological experiment in progress for members of the Dharma Initiative and fans of Lost and The Walking Dead. So we're going to go ahead and open up our lines for anyone who wants to communicate.
Opening communications channel. Waiting.
Well, Lost is over.
Satellite uplink established.
But it turns out, Damon and Carlton's prediction was true.
What's really fun is to actually have a character back who is dead, but isn't really dead.
When someone dies on Lost, they're dead. And that's really it. Like, we're not trying to be sneaky and they're going to come back as a zombie.
Year 7, you're going to regret that zombie comment.
I am really going to regret that. Year 7 is actually, the subtitle is Lost Zombies. And it's just everybody who we killed off over the years coming back and trying to eat.
It'll be cool. It'll be like Stephen King.
When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk here.
So today we're going to react to episode 39 of the hit series on AMC, The Walking Dead. The title of the episode is Indifference. We'll rate the episode, give our initial thoughts, critique things a bit, and follow that up with the Walker of the Week, the Roger Award, and our survival scenario. Next, we'll make some predictions for what we think might happen next. These predictions will be spoiler-free and will not make any reference to the comic book series that The Walking Dead is based on. We've also got an inventory section tonight. And finally, we'll compare and contrast between the TV series and the comics in our 3-minute spoiler section. So without further ado, let's get to it. But first, a word from our sponsors.
This week's episode is sponsored by the amazing Chinese shovel. Think it's just a shovel? No! It slices, dices, digs, picks, parries, pliers, screws, hammers. It's the only tool you'll ever need. Much more than a shovel. It's the amazing Chinese shovel.
So, we got on the line tonight.
Incoming transmission from Mike.
Hey, Michael, how's it going?
Doing good. Just got my report card from school.
All A's?
Yeah, I got distinguished honors currently.
Wow. Does that mean all A's?
Distinguished honors means all my grades were above a 95.
Wow, it's like extra bonus A's.
Yeah.
I was never quite that good in school. I was always an A's and B's kid. Distinguished, less honor. I guess you're feeling pretty good about that. Do you get any kind of monetary reward?
If I get distinguished honors for the first 3 quarters, and in the first 3 quarters of the year, then at the end, in the awards ceremony at the end of the year, I think I'm going to get called up on stage, because last year I got distinguished honors for the first 3 quarters, and I was among like 7 people in 7th grade last year to get up on stage.
Oh, cool. But do you get anything from your parents? Like, you get like a monetary reward?
No.
Or a prize of some sort?
Nope.
Get you a motorcycle or something?
Yeah, I got a motorcycle. And,
Maybe a pony?
It's really cool. It's like a $30,000 motorcycle.
Oh, that's not bad. That's a fancy one. Is it a Harley or something?
Yeah, Harley Davidson.
Very nice. Very nice. So, who else we got there?
Incoming transmission from Mr. Bad.
Hey, Mr. Bad, how's it going?
Oh, it's going pretty good. I was just wondering if Michael's motorcycle has a sidecar that I could ride in.
Okay, yeah, it does actually. Just don't end up like that. You're never going to get this reference. Just don't end up like that guy in Dawn of the Dead.
The original Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, you know the guy with the machine gun?
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
I don't know.
I'm trying to think of what
in the end, from the biker's raid, the one guy that black guy shot, he fell off, he got eaten by 1,000 zombies.
Oh yeah, he did just kind of fall off the sidecar when he got shot and got ate by a bunch of people. Yeah, you remember that?
My favorite.
I'll just leave you and just run off.
My favorite death in that was that one moronic biker who, in the middle of all the chaos, is in like a CBS. Yeah, and he puts his arm in the
thing.
Check your blood pressure, and they actually kill him. And the only thing you see is his arm in the blood pressure cuff.
Yeah, he was a moron.
So do you like the original Dawn better than the remake, Michael? Or have you even seen the remake?
You mean the 2004 remake?
Yeah, the one with the Marcellus Wallace, I think, is in it.
Yeah, I like the original one a lot better.
Wow, I am so pleased that our youth of today still have good taste in zombie movies.
Mr. Bad is also very happy because I hated the remake. I thought the original Dawn of the Dead is the only zombie movie of all the Romero ones that I actually like. I would give it a B.
Oh, wow.
You know, the original Night of the Living Dead, I would give like a C. It was okay. It had some, not literary effect. That doesn't make any sense for a movie. It had some gravitas, some theatrical gravitas, and it was nice having a black man taking a starring role, and that was cool. And it was okay, but it wasn't great.
I actually did like the Dawn of the Dead remake, but I did like the original a lot better than the remake. And I'm with you, Mr. Bad. The original Dawn is my favorite of the Romero movies.
So suck it, Romero. That's what our message is to you. Make a good movie for the at least one for the next 50 years. My God, when did the original Dawn of the Dead come out? Was that like 1975 or something?
It had to be sometime in the 70s. I know it wasn't the 80s yet, but
maybe 77 or 70.
I feel like it might have been 77. I feel like it might have been. Yeah.
If there's only some place we could find that information out.
There probably is, but I am not inclined to test my intranet to access that particular piece of data. Somebody else can do it. Let's try.
I'm doing that as we speak. 1978.
That was the year my brother was born.
I was a junior in high school.
Did you get distinguished honors?
No, I was not nearly as bright as young Michael, no. I had a twin brother who sucked half of my intelligence out before birth.
Maybe the classes were just a lot harder way back then.
Yeah, that must have been it. Yes,
those them like they do today.
Those nuns who taught me, they were constantly whacking my head with rulers, and I just couldn't concentrate. Constantly looking around to get whacked.
Well, are you guys about ready to get rolling on this one?
Yep.
Let's roll and let's get Carol rolling down the road.
Okay, let's do that thing. First thing that we do. Okay, title of the episode is Indifference. At the prison, Carol talks to Sophia 2 through the glass at A block. Carol tells her they're going on a run to find food and hopefully some medicine. Sophia 2 tells Carol that nobody has died yet, but that she thinks a lot of people will die soon. Sophia 2 says that's okay because they'll come back. Carol tells Sophia 2 that they aren't people anymore when they turn into zombies, but Sophia 2 insists that when people turn into zombies, they're just different, like how Sophia 2 will be bigger when she gets older. Sophia 2 insists she's not weak. Carol tells her to remember, whenever there's danger, run until she's safe. She tells her not to be afraid to kill to protect herself or her sister. Carol tells her that she's strong and makes sure that Sophia 2 has her knife. Sophia 2 calls Carol Mom, and Carol tells her not to do that. Sophia 2 admits that she's afraid, but Carol tells her to fight her fear and never give up, and that eventually she'll change. Elsewhere, Team Daryl is regrouping at a stream where Tyrese is washing the blood out of his shirt. The group is ready to move, but Tyrese is dragging ass. He acts like there's no point in going on because they lost a day. Expendable Bob tells him to keep moving, and Tyrese finally complies. As they walk, Daryl finds a piece of jasper and says something about using it for an old man's marker. I have no idea what he's talking about. Next, they find a gas station with 7734 upside down on the sign as the price for unleaded. A diesel costs $5,808. Daryl finds a van under some overgrown weeds, but it needs a new battery. They decide to look inside the building, but the front is also overgrown with weeds. They start pulling them off, and Tyrese starts raging at the weeds with a machete. Daryl wants him to go easy, but he ignores him. Tyrese accidentally rips loose some wire that was holding a door shut. The zombies start popping through the weeds like whack-a-moles. Tyrese grabs a zombie and pulls it out, even though the rest are telling him to just let go of it. They manage to kill it while Tyrese just stares off and looks pissed. Next, Team Daryl search inside and find a battery. Daryl somehow thinks that adding water to the battery will charge it. Daryl also discovers the people inside the gas station committed suicide by drinking antifreeze and calls them douchebags for going out kumbaya style. Expendable Bob has more sympathy for them. They find the zombified gas station owner, so Bob kills them with the key to the men's room. Outside, Tyrese and Michonne argue about Tyrese acting like a dumbass. Tyrese calls Michonne out for continuing to look for the governor when the trail's gone cold. Daryl works in the van and makes conversation with Expendable Bob. Bob says he was with two other groups before and was the last survivor each time. Bob admits he's an alcoholic and tells Daryl about the Big Lots, that when he put the bottle back on the shelf, it caused the roof to collapse, which led into zombies that killed Zach. Daryl tells him that's bullshit and tells Bob to try starting the van. It starts right up. The team drive to the veterinary college, go in and start collecting medical supplies. There's plenty of stuff left, but none of them bother to cram their packs full. As they head out, they encounter diseased zombies. They almost get backed into a corner, but manage to escape up some stairs. They climb out a window onto a ledge, and Bob slips and almost drips his bag? Drops. But Bob slips and almost drops his bag over the side. He has a tug-of-war with the zombies below, but manages to pull the bag up at the last minute. Daryl discovers that all Bob has in his bag is a bottle of booze and no drugs. Daryl gets pissed and starts to throw the booze away, but Bob says, "Don't," and starts to draw his gun. Daryl gets in his face and takes his gun away. After a tense moment, Daryl gives him his booze back, but tells him he'll beat his ass if he drinks it before they get the meds back to their people. Team Daryl heads out in the van. Michonne admits to Daryl that the governor's trail is cold and that she doesn't need to go out anymore. At the prison, Rick rewraps his hand and gets the Hyundai ready to go on a run. He revisits the scene where Karen and David were killed and imagines seeing Carol kill Karen with her sentry knife and drag her body out. He goes back outside, and he and Carol head out in the Hyundai. Carol tries to strike up a conversation with Rick and says she killed Karen and David to end their suffering and try to prevent the disease from spreading. Rick just mutters. They arrive in a neighborhood and find a Taurus wagon with "Pardon Our Dust" written in a dirty window on the side, but the car looks like it was used very recently. They enter a house and start foraging for drugs and food. They hear a zombie upstairs which lurches into view and then tumbles down the stairs at them. Carol kills it with her sentry knife, and they hear a door open upstairs. Hippie Girl and Stoner Sam appear at the top of the stairs and throw a peach at them. Sam's shoulder is dislocated, so Carol pops it back in. The couple reveal that they've been hiding in a bathroom for 2 days from a single skin eater, even though they both have guns and knives. They ask about Rick's base, so Rick asks them his 3 questions. Satisfied with their answers, Rick tells the couple about the prison 8 miles away, but warns them there's disease. Carol says they've lost a lot of people, even kids, but says not her kids. Rick gives her a strange look. Carol adds that one of her girls is sick but strong. Rick gives her a stranger look. Hippie Girl and Stoner Sam want to join Rick and Carol. Rick encourages them to just sit tight until they're ready to leave on account of them being dumbasses. But Carol suggests they could help them sweep the area. Rick tries to discourage them, but the couple is eager to help and pull their own weight, so Rick gives them their guns back, tells them to fire shots if they need help, gives them his watch, and tells them to meet back in 2 hours. After they're gone, Rick second-guesses himself about letting Hippie Girl and Stoner Sam go back to the prison with them, but Carol tells him it was the right call. Rick wonders about their ability to survive, but Carol just tells him to hope for the best. Carol talks about the 2 people she killed and insists she did what she thought she had to do, and tells Rick he was a good leader. Rick replies that he never killed 2 of their own, and Carol retorts that he did kill one, Shane. Rick says he killed Shane because Shane was going to kill him. Carol says that Karen and David were going to kill them too, with the threat of disease. Rick insists Carol didn't know that, but Carol says she couldn't take the chance, and that Rick wouldn't take the chance either if it was Carl and Judy at risk. Carol says she doesn't like what she did, but she accepts it, and Rick should too. They go outside, find some tomatoes, and pick them, but leave the green ones. Rick asks Carol about how she knew how to fix a dislocated shoulder, and Carol says she learned from the internet fixing her own shoulder after her husband beat her up. Carol talks about how she became strong but didn't know it. Rick asks about Sophia, and Carol says she's dead and has just learned to accept that. Rick talks about how Lori always made horrible pancakes with lumps of flour to torture Rick and Carl on Sundays. On the way back to the cars, they find Hippie Girl's severed leg and see zombies feasting on Hippie Girl's body. Hippie Girl and Stoner Sam never fired any shots. Rick and Carol go back to the house to wait for Stoner Sam, but he doesn't show up. Carol says whether Sam is alive or not, they need to go. They head out to the Hyundai, but Carol discovers Rick has locked her passenger door. Rick tells Carol that killing Karen and David was not her decision to make. He tells her he doesn't want her around his kids, and so he's banishing her. Carol insists she did what she had to do. Rick disagrees. Carol tells Rick she won't leave without Sophia's 2 and 3, but Rick says they're too young to be out in the rough. Rick tells Carol she's strong and she can start over with another group and survive. Carol gives Rick her watch, takes the Taurus, and drives off. Rick heads out alone in the Hyundai. He keeps looking in his rearview mirror. Is he looking at himself, or is he looking at the road behind him? Okay, so what did you guys think of this episode? How many stars would you give it, Michael?
I thought very poorly of this episode. I thought it was probably the worst one this season. I'd have to give it a 3.5.
3.5. Wow, that's pretty strong. How about you, Mr. Bad?
Oh, them fighting words. I loved it. I thought it was great. I found it very affecting. Not as great as Clear, but I had many of the same emotional reactions. I was very much emotionally affected by the interaction between Rick and Carol. I'm going to give it a 9.
Okay. And I myself, I'm going to give it a 6, which is my lowest for the season so far. I did not think the episode was that great either. I don't think I'd rate it quite as low as Michael, but I didn't think it was that good, Mr. Bad.
Mr. Good also talked to me, and he gave it a 5.
Oh, a real spectrum going on.
I am isolated. Just like the episode title, that was last week's episode title. Wait,
Yes.
So you guys were indifferent to this episode.
Well, no, I don't think Michael was indifferent. He didn't like it.
No.
Well,
I guess I was kind of indifferent.
I didn't hate it. Okay, I mean, I just said 3.5 as if I really disliked it, but it wasn't like the worst episode in the entire series.
Oh, definitely not. Okay, well, what worked and didn't work in this episode? What worked and didn't work for you, Michael? What did you think was effective and not effective? What was the good stuff?
Besides me being half asleep for the entire episode, I think I'll just tell you what I picked up from the summary, remembered.
Okay.
I think that what didn't work, I'm going to start that first. I don't think Rick banishing Carl in the way that he did work. I don't think he should have given her a car. I mean, maybe it was a nice thing to do, but...
Rick banished Carl?
Carol.
Oh, Carol. Okay. I thought you said Carl.
Oh, sorry. Well, yeah, I did. Whoops. And I think I was asleep when the hippies died, but then you said in the summary. So I don't think that was the right way for him to go out. I mean, I don't know if that guy just, left his, whoever that wife or friend, Otis style or something like that. But, I didn't really like that. I guess, but it wasn't very clear. Okay, things that worked, I would have to have, one. I kind of liked, with Bob and the alcohol, I kind of liked him, I think it adds a little more to the show, with his, he's always messing everybody up with his alcohol and stuff.
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
Okay. That goofy Bob and his alcohol. Okay. Okay, Steve, what worked and didn't work for you?
Well, I found the interaction between Rick and Carol to be excellent. I really liked Carol's sort of character development throughout the whole series, and I thought this was a dramatic kind of recapitulation of where she's come over the last, this season, where we see her being a member of the council. She's taking strong decisions. But some of them are a little disturbing. She's teaching the kids how to survive, but she's doing it in secret. She's not telling anybody else. And then even when she adopts, the two girls, she's very cold, and she has a very much a distant survivalist kind of mentality. And I think the murder of Karen and David just shows that clearly, how she's emotionally distanced herself from the other survivors, and even from her. I mean, she's really purged her own humanity. And in the episode where she's talking to Rick right near the end, Rick sort of questions her. He says, "You can't even say her name," referring to Sophia. And then she retorts, well, that's somebody else's slideshow. Like, that was another life, and now that's not my daughter. Now so it's like, she's very much out there.
She doesn't say it's not her daughter. She just says she's dead, and you can't really do anything about that. I mean, she's reached that acceptance stage.
I don't know about acceptance, when you say that's another, somebody else's slideshow. It was her daughter. I mean, I would not forget my daughter. I would mention her name, and it would still be sadness to me. I don't know. I just think she's dead inside, and
well, I would
anyway.
also say when she reacted to Lizzie calling her mom, I mean, to me that says that, yeah, I mean, she still does think of her daughter that she lost, but she's just trying not to,
Oh, I took it the other way. I took it that she doesn't want to be anybody's mom anymore. She's like this cold, calculating survivalist figure, where she will give you, not really motherly instruction or guidance. She's going to, give you life and death guidance. And if the calculation's wrong, it might mean your life or death. And she didn't want to get close anymore, because, I mean, when she killed Karen and David, I think it really bothered Rick how it wasn't so much that she did it. It was during the whole talk, she was not sorry about it one bit. She told him, and I love this. She said, "You must, I don't care what you think. You just got to accept it, And Rick won't accept it. He thinks it was wrong, and the fact that she couldn't sort of realize that, or in hindsight, see her actions as wrong. I thought that's what really, crystallized him to abandon, to banish her. But I love that interaction. I liked the interaction on Daryl's little walkabout to the university. I thought Bob was an interesting character, and I really am liking Michonne. I really am interested to see what where Michonne's character goes from where she's been developing. So
okay,
that's what I liked about it.
All right.
I'm going to say Mr. Bad. He hated it for some of the reasons I liked it. Yes, he rated it a 5, and he didn't like Carol the Killer. I think remember how you hated Clear because you hated how it portrayed Rick, the lawman, abandoning that not ideal, but that role, he played, or he it wasn't just something he played. He took an oath. And I think my Mr. Good thought Carol. He just hated the fact that she had turned into such a cold-hearted killer.
Interesting.
A quote from Mr. Good was, "There's so much sadness you can. There's only so much sadness you can take in a zombie apocalypse, and I've had my fill. I want more entertainment. I want the zombie apocalypse to be more upbeat." He's hoping, that our survivors will get some success. Perhaps they can run into and defeat some cannibals. You want to see something positive happen instead of just the attrition of our. The core group you sort of think of as heroes, and really Carol in this episode, really, she's not a hero. She's stripping off her humanity, and she's there's no compassion.
This is interesting because I have a almost completely different take on Carol than you guys do.
Oh,
yes. But we'll get into that. We'll get into that in a little bit.
All right, bring it on.
Did you have anything that you didn't think worked? I forgot.
Didn't think worked. The only thing I thought was a little bit exaggerated was Bob's going for his gun when Daryl sort of threatened to ditch his booze. It probably would have been better if he had reached out for to Daryl or grabbed the bottle from him and struggled with the bottle. I thought going for the gun was really sort of over the top. Mm-hmm. But maybe he really, maybe he was that desperate, I guess, for the booze. Or
okay. Let's see what worked and didn't work for me. I thought all the Carol stuff mostly worked, and when I say Carol stuff, I mean mostly the actress that plays Carol. I can't think of her name. Is it Melissa McBride?
Yes.
It's something McBride. I always get her mixed up with that singer who's also named McBride.
Melissa McBride. Yes, that's her name. You got it right on the first try.
Okay. I thought her performance was great. I thought the acting for the most part was well done in this episode. I thought the writing was pretty good in this episode. There were just certain things plot-wise that did not work for me, and we'll get into those in a little bit. What didn't work? To me, Rick was a hypocrite in this episode, and it's funny you mentioned the incident from Clear where he leaves the person on the road. because to me this episode was kind of another one of those moments where Rick is, he's banishing Carol because Carol, as he said, she made a decision that wasn't her call to make and involved the life and death of other survivors. And Rick is doing the exact same thing. He even says, I'm making this decision for me, because he doesn't trust her around his kids now for some reason. He's taking it upon himself to tell her that she can't go back to the prison when he should be doing what Carol should have done and go through, the government they have in place, the council or whatever. I think he should have taken her back and locked her up and decided, they should have decided as a group what they were going to do with her. So to me, that was just total hypocrisy on Rick's part. Say, yep, well, you're stuck out here. Good luck on your own, because you made a decision that you didn't have, that wasn't yours to make. And I feel like Rick has just done the exact same thing. Let's see. Oh, the other thing that didn't work for me was Tyrese acting like a dumbass. I really didn't like the direction they took him this episode, especially when he's like doesn't want to, get a move on after he's washing his shirt. He's like, "Well, we lost a day. I mean, if you're worried about your sick sister, shouldn't that make you want to, get it done even faster, like as quickly as you can? I mean, why is he just assuming that his sister is dead at this point?"
I would agree. He's very. It's the one-dimensional anger kind of guy. The angry black man is getting a little thin. Toward the end of the episode, he was sort of calming down, and I think Michonne was sort of reaching it to him a little bit. But yeah, that was getting old. Yeah.
Yeah, his actions never really made sense. I mean, it's another one of those situations I sometimes see with this show where it feels like the plot is driving the characters instead of the characters driving the plot. And that just never goes well, I find. Okay, smartest, dumbest. What's the smartest thing that you guys saw in this episode? And what was the dumbest thing you saw somebody do in this episode? What was your smartest, dumbest, Michael?
My dumbest would have to be, I would say, well, this is kind of a hard decision, but I'm just going to go with Tyrese. I think, as you said, if you did it faster, you might be able to get to his sister or whatever.
Right.
Faster. And I think he's doing it slower. Like if something's going on there, he just doesn't make the connection. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that would be the dumbest. Like watching this and stuff.
Yeah.
I think Tyrese throughout that episode was just, as you already said, just like really unnatural and really dangerous. Not to people, just to like the group in the whole. He was like getting himself like in a knot all the time. I didn't think it was good.
Right.
My smartest, I think that sending Carol away was a smart thing to do. I don't think I don't think the dialogue was right, but I still think that getting her out of there was good because she was causing a lot of problems, and I just thought she was for some reason a little too far gone.
Interesting.
I think she had tried to adapt to the zombie environment a little too much and had experienced too many things.
Okay. And how about you, Mr. Bad?
I'm in very much agreement with Michael. I think the smartest thing was Rick banishing Carol. The only thing I'll say slightly different is that I still think she has a chance to come back from what she's done, which is murder. She's cold-bloodedly murdered two people who were weak and defenseless. And
actually, let me pause you on that point, Mr. Bad.
Yeah.
Now, in another episode, Nika and Lizzie's father gets bitten by a zombie. He's infected. He's going to die. And she kills him with her knife because she knows he's going to die and turn into a zombie. And that's the end of his life.
I thought he had died, actually.
No, he wasn't dead yet.
Well, I thought she was.
He was still in the process of dying.
No, yeah, I got him up, was ready to cut his arm off, and she saw the bike on his neck. It was a commercial, I think, some dialogue exchange, then she stabbed him in the head.
Yeah, well, initially the kids wanted to do it. He had kind of lost consciousness at that point, but I don't think he'd actually died yet.
Okay, yeah. I assumed that he had died, but...
He must have always wanted to say to the older one, take care of it, I forget what the other one or something, and then he was just, like, not really there in his step.
But I guess what I'm saying is, I don't see that situation as all that much different from the situation with Dave and Carol, or Karen, or even the situation with Zach at the big spot, who got bitten by a zombie, and everybody's like, oh, well, he's dead. There's nothing we can do for him. He's infected.
I think it's completely different. On the one hand, the guy who got bit, well, I mean, in as much as we know in this world, if you get bit by a zombie, it's a death sentence.
Up until this point, from what we know in this world, if you get that disease, you're dead. You're dead in one night.
Oh, I don't know about that. There are extremely virulent forms of swine flu that may kill 90% of the people, but you still have a chance to survive. And that should be the individual's choice, just like it should have been, the dad's choice, whether or not, okay, do you want to kill me now, or do you want me to try to, get the fever and eventually, die, and then, some indeterminate period later come back as a zombie? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, once I'm dead, yeah, you can cut my head off, swoosh my brain up or put a bullet in my head or whatever. But when I'm alive, I want to fight. At least to try to live, whether it's to beat the disease, a swine flu or the zombie disease. I mean, seriously, there are diseases out there which kill 98% of the people, but some people survive. And with the, it would probably be good if you could find somebody who could beat the zombie disease. You might be able to find something in their blood to help other people. I think for the swine flu, the same thing. Those are two strong adults in their prime, and if anybody had a good chance of beating it, it would be them. And I agree. I mean, the disease was a threat, but disease as a threat is completely different than Shane coming at me, with a gun or a knife, or zombie, a guy, who's going to turn.
I'm not sure it's different than a zombie bite, though. I mean, that's pretty much the same thing. It's an infection that, from what we know, nobody has survived from.
Well, he's dead. He's going to...
Do what?
You have Herschel. I mean...
That's true. That's true. They were able to amputate his leg, and he did survive.
But he just cut off his leg, less than 2 minutes after it happened.
Right.
And, there are some things you could do. They had a full-fledged doctor. Herschel's very good, and Bob, is supposed to have some background. So, I mean, theoretically, there are some things you can do to try to keep people from dying from from really nasty swine flu. I mean, think about,
I'm not sure I like calling the thing swine flu. I don't think this is really swine flu. I think it's some sort of unidentified thing. I think they're careful not to actually dub it one thing around me. Does swine flu make you, spurt a bunch of blood out of all your head orifices?
I actually don't know about some of the really nasty ones, but I really don't. I couldn't say.
Okay.
But,
I think one of the doctors at Herschel was talking about what it is, they recognized it, and that it was a mutation, but I forget the name.
Yeah, I don't know.
My basic point is she acted out of fear. Killing a guy who got bit, you're not acting out of fear. And that should be his choice. Remember, we talked about the zombie, death will testament. People should have a choice. hey, I got bit. Do you want to go into a cell and get locked up and be safe and die? Or do you want me to put you out of your misery? Or do you want to do it yourself? Andrea, when she got bit, she picked up a gun. Her best friend stood by her, and she blew her brains out. That's her choice.
Well, yeah,
you know,
but with the zombies, you have a fairly identified vector there. I mean, you know that it's not something airborne. You know that they have to either bite you or scratch you in order to communicate it. We don't know that with this current thing. We don't really know how it can be spread.
I am with you 100%, but all I'm saying is that there were 2 sick people in your group. Because they were dangerous, you isolated them, you took away all compassion, and you dehumanized them. They were no longer human beings to be cared for or to risk, you know, to have some risk to actually. Their lives didn't have any value because they were a threat. It was a very Shane-like thing, you know. Once you know they were no longer in the group. Really, that's why she killed them. And I would have really. If that was, and I think that's why she got vanished. It wasn't so much the fact that she did it. I mean, she would have done that to anybody.
I think a lot of the factors that would make this either acceptable or unacceptable, I also have to go with exactly how this went down. I mean, we don't really know what kind of exchange she had with them in there. We don't know how far gone they were. We don't know whether she talked to them first and told them, you know, what kind of a threat she thought was going on.
Are you talking about Karen just killing Karen? I mean, Carol killing Karen.
Carol killing Karen,
yes.
Yeah, okay. So you're talking about that.
Yeah.
After, when it did like that flashback, she just walked in there. Karen was still asleep, and
that wasn't a flashback. That was just Rick imagining what might have happened.
Oh, I thought that was like some sort of weird flashback.
That's what I took it to be anyway. How did you take it, Mr. Bad?
I think you're right. It was Rick imagining it, but I really thought that was how it went down. You know.
It's like one of those monk things. He's always right. It's just in black and white.
But, I mean, it's a situation where I would have really liked, you know, the specifics of what happened to have been investigated a little bit more. I mean, I don't think Carol made the right call either. I mean, like I said, I don't think either of them made the right call. I think they both made a decision that wasn't theirs to make. But I feel like Carol's position is partially justified, except that, you know, she didn't take it through the group first. And I think that should have been taken into account, and I think the group really should have put her on trial and actually done a real investigation of what specifically happened, I guess.
But I'm going to disagree with you because technically it was completely wrong. Technically, from a medical point of view, there was no benefit to be gained from killing them at that point. Everybody, it was clear at that point, pretty much everybody in that cell block had been exposed because the guy who was sick was in that cell block. He had gone up and down from the shower back to his room, his cell. So, and he was sick, you know, so everybody had been exposed.
They had all been exposed, but at this particular time, those were the only 2 that were showing symptoms.
But medically, once you isolate them, there's no reason to kill them. It's like a zombie, somebody who's been bit. Once you isolate them and you contain them, there's no reason to kill them. You can kill them if you want, but, I mean, if they die, they die, and if they turn into a zombie, you put a knife in their head. The same way with the sick people. They're isolated. Even if it's communicated by blood, by spit, if they're coughing and it gets in the air, you isolated them. I can put something, I can wear a mask or force them to wear a mask. They're either going to live or they'll die. So medically, it didn't have any effect. It was done out of fear, out of dehumanization, and I thought it was completely wrong.
I think it depends on how airborne it is. Because wherever they weren't. It wasn't airtight.
Well,
I think this is another thing we don't really know. We don't know.
I hear what you're saying. Yes, technically, yes. If the particulates or viruses or bacteria are very small, they get airborne. They can stay up a lot longer than just some moisture coming out of my breath or the vapor from my breath. That will condense and go to the floor.
If they were exposed, as she was saying, then if they isolated them correctly, then you're right. They would know further threat because the damage that they've already done was already done, and it can only get worse. You didn't have to kill them; it wasn't going to get better.
And could you do that if that was? If it was a member of your family? So I got a disease. Do I kill them to save myself and the rest of my family, or do I try to heal them? To do my best to administer whatever basic medical assistance I can give.
Well, once again, I don't see it as that much different than the zombie infection that gets spread.
It's a huge difference. You're murdering someone who has the disease. You don't even know what the disease is. It may be a threat. It may not. But that's what I'm saying. Could you put a bullet in your family member, or could you only put it in if it was one of these guys we picked up and who's not really one of my crew? He's part of the group, but he's not really, Because I tell you one thing, if my brother's sick or somebody in my family and somebody wants to go put a bullet in his head or a shiv in his brain, I'm going to pull a Tyrese, and you're going to pay with blood.
Well, try to think about the circumstances that they had at that time, which was they had these two separate people that, as far as they know, as far as we can tell, they didn't really interact with each other. We don't know how they contracted this thing, but they were apparently both killed in pretty horrible ways within one night of contracting this disease.
Yeah,
they hemorrhaged out of their faces and they fell down, died, and became zombies.
Every expectation
pretty
to be
serious.
highly communicable and highly deadly, yes. But you saw Herschel walked into that death cell with all those people coughing up their lungs and dying. He went in there to do what he could to save them.
That's true, but Herschel also locked up a bunch of zombies in his bar. I think that they could be saved too.
He was proved wrong there, wasn't he? He accepted that.
Yes, he was. All I'm saying is, Herschel's judgment isn't necessarily.
That was the old Herschel. This is like quote unquote new Herschel.
Yeah.
I think
by that I also mean physically, but yes.
I think this is the best discussion, though. I think this is critical to what I consider survival in a zombie apocalypse. Because I've heard a bunch of other people say similar stuff, saying you got to be cold. It's like a Shane attitude. You got to be willing to do inhuman things and kill people. And I'm saying if you let your humanity die, then you're not going to survive. If I'm in the group and okay, it's not my brother, it's not my wife, it's not my daughter, and I let somebody else get bumped off, I tell you what, I can see that you're making life and death decisions, and that's a strength, but it also means anybody who gets in your way who's weak at all is on the chopping block. So why would I want to be in that situation? I want to be in a group where people are pulling together, where you have, you're stronger than the individual sum of your strengths. You're strong because everybody's looking out for each other and willing to have compassion and have some level of risk. And that, to me, is what humanity is. That, to me, is what makes society as a social group stronger than the sum of the individuals. Once you say to me that you're not willing to risk anything for me, complete opposite. I'm just it's a zero-sum game, and as soon as I'm not pulling my weight or I'm in danger, I'm dead. I don't want to be in that group because, look at Shane. Everybody that he had himself, he had Carl, he had Lori. Everybody else was expendable.
And see, I don't see Carol that way. That's not my take on Carol. I don't think she's given up her humanity. I don't think she lacks compassion. I think she's behaving in an extremely pragmatic way. But I mean, in terms of risking herself for the group, I mean, if she didn't want to put herself in risk, then she wouldn't have even gone in the cell with those two people to put the knife in them, because she risked giving herself that same infection when she did that. And when she says that they were suffering and she put them out of her misery, I think she believes that. I think that's what she believes.
But one thing I can say is I think the governor had similar, rational reasons for doing what he did. When he killed all those National Guard guys to steal their stuff, he had reasons,
The governor had reasons. I don't think they were rational reasons. Now, the decision Carol made is not the call I would have made, but I can understand why she made the call that she made. I don't think it was the right one, but I can still understand why she made that call. I think there's some justification to be made for that. What you got, Michael?
Yeah, I think at the very least, to be on your side for a partial amount, there is a small amount of justification. Like, she obviously was trying to help the group. I just think that if your humanity is completely gone or mostly gone, that you should at least think before you do something. Think of the consequences. Think how it's going to affect you, and think how, in the long run, it's going to affect the group. Like, how's it going to affect her? Possibly she'd I'm just saying this, like a trial of murder or something. And then in the long run, it probably wasn't going to change what happened to the group. That would be my logic. And before I even got at a knife and walked in there, I would just go to sleep that night.
And here's another example for you. Rick knew there was a chance all those pigs were infected, so he killed them. He took them out and they killed them all to make sure that they couldn't infect anybody.
People aren't pigs, though.
People aren't pigs.
And walkers aren't pigs. And walkers aren't human. That's why Carl says don't name them. People are people. And, what are you willing to do for other human beings? I'm just going to put it out there. I think, it's time to step up. If people are going to have Christian morality, if they're going to have any morality, it has to be based on it comes down to compassion, to extending, the protection you have for yourself to other people, to putting other people first. That's and that's not a weakness. That's a strength. It's a strong society, a strong social group, whether it's 5 people or 6 people or 100, if they are willing to take risks and be strong for each other, they're much stronger than the same number of people who are out for themselves, because that selfish group, once they get a certain point, they're going to go their own way. They're going to abandon the other people and look out for themselves. And I think from a military, from a social point of view, that's where it comes down to, you have somebody in your group, you treat them with the rights and responsibilities, and you're willing to sacrifice yourself for them. It comes down to Spock saying, to finding out that the good of the individual is sometimes more important than the good of the group. because the group's strength comes from reaching out and trying to protect the weakest in the group.
Right, but Carol's argument is that they were suffering and they were going to die anyway.
That's ridiculous. Why are you taking away my choice to how I want to live or die?
Maybe
that's why I killed you. That's why I snuck into the room and killed you when you were weak and helpless.
Maybe they were already starting to bleed out their eyes or something. I mean, we just don't know.
Well, I mean,
let's imagine that Carol is like some serial killer and she kills people because it gives her some sexual high feeling. Okay, so let's imagine that she goes to trial the next day and her reason for killing them is because that they were suffering. It starts to sound like that one guy that had those 3 women in his house for years. I don't know, and he said that he kind of they liked him. I think that it really is just an invalid reason to go as far as murdering someone. It just isn't right. You know what I'm saying? Like, if someone is suffering with a disease and they're in isolation, then if they choose to suffer to try to survive, then they should be allowed to. I mean, it's their body.
We don't even know what they would have chosen, or even if they did choose something.
True,
I mean, for all we know, one of them might have said, "Kill me," when she went in there. We don't know.
Other members of the group, her group, other members of her survival group have been given a choice. Jim was given the choice of whether to suffer through the disease and turn into a zombie. He was allowed to do that. Jackie was allowed to opt out with Jenner and commit suicide. Andrea was actually arguing for Amy to be able to make that same choice. Those people made choices. The people who were sick didn't have any choice. And from a medical point of view, it was wrong, and from a moral point of view, it was wrong. And I really think from a military and a position of strength and a strong group, it was wrong. Because it's like, we're in a squad, somebody's, sprained an ankle. Well, I'm going to kill you, and, I'm not just going to leave you behind because, you're dangerous. Once we abandon you, why should you have any connection to us? You should probably turn on us because we're abandoning you. So you can't take the risk of even letting you try to survive on your own. I have to kill you because if you get found by the enemy, you might, tell secrets or try to, come against us.
If you want to actually go down like the military path, I mean, in a situation like that, the person who gets left behind would, be willing to end their own life for the good of the group, so they couldn't get captured or tortured or inform on the group. That's why they make those
That's their choice. That's an individual's choice to do that. That's not the sergeant or another private going into the middle of the night and knifing them in the head. You just basically said that person went up and said, "I'm weak. I'm going to kill myself," so the other group doesn't get done in. That's not someone making that choice for them.
Soldiers do get ordered into missions, though, in which they're almost certainly going to be killed during the course of those missions.
That's very true. That's another level of command, and people are taking the responsibility that they are putting their lives on the line. But the bottom line when you do that is that you're putting your life, the central group is your squad, the people around you. You're willing to sacrifice yourself for them. When somebody gets wounded, you're willing, if possible, not always, but if possible, to run out there and get them. Well, you know what? Sometimes that doesn't happen. Sometimes you watch your squad mate die a horrible death because there's no way you can get to them.
Yeah.
But I don't, I don't kill them if they still have a chance. Because it's going to slow me down, and that's what I thought she basically did. They were a detriment. They were a risk. She murdered them because their humanity, she had no compassion for them. And I'm saying is if you get to that point in the zombie apocalypse, you're a danger to yourself and everybody around you because I can't trust you anymore. I mean, that's the whole stuff.
I think there was good reason to believe that they probably wouldn't have survived any longer than the first two. And with that in mind, I still don't see that kind of infection as much different than a zombie infection. It's a foregone conclusion. I don't think she murdered him. To murder somebody, you have to have malice of forethought. You want them dead because you don't like them for some reason. I think her thinking was pretty pragmatic on this point. She killed them because she thought they were a threat to the rest of the group because they were a source of infection. And she killed them because she believed they were suffering at the time. And I wish we did get to see more of whatever interaction she might have had with them in there, because I think that would make a big difference as to, well, whether or not her actions really were acceptable or not acceptable. But that's just information we don't have, and I guess we're probably never going to get it.
Well, you might. I don't think we've seen the last of Carol.
Is that so? Well, we can go ahead and address that question. Do we think Carol is going to be back this season? What do you think? Obviously, you think she is Mr. Bad, or not necessarily this season?
I would say not necessarily this season. I think this is just my opinion. I think she will come back, but from a dramatic plot point of view, I think it would be more. It's like Morgan. It was good to have him out for a season or more because you sort of forgot about him. And when he came back, it was that much more powerful because you wasn't thinking about it. So I think for this season, it would be best if they continued or finalized the governor because he's out there and he's sort of going to the back of your mind. So I think it would be good eventually to come back to him and finish that or to get some finality there. And then later down the road, when the group has its ups and downs and meanders around, and finding Carol in whatever situation you find, whether she's a leader, whether she's in trouble, where maybe the group's in trouble, however that comes about, I think it would be very powerful to have them reconnect.
So you think she'll be back, but you do not think she'll be back this season?
I would say so, yes.
Okay, what do you think, Michael?
I think Carol may be back. And if she isn't back, I think that they might just hint that she might come back. Like, kind of like with Merle, except it won't be that obvious. Like, they won't be looking for her. You know what I mean? Like, it's Merle with the hand and stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, like as you said, you kind of forget about him and all that.
So if you had to call it one way or the other, you think you agree with Mr. Bad? You think she'll be back, but not this season, or you think she will be back this season?
I think that she will not be back this season. Again, I think that at least for 1 or 2 episodes, there's going to be some talk about her, but then I think it's going to die down because I think everybody knew what had to happen.
I think she's going to be back this season.
Mr. Good is in agreement. He also thinks Carol will be back and will return this season.
And I don't have any spoiler or anything. That's just a feeling I have.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
only thing I want to say is for having you guys rate this so low, we certainly are having a very lively discussion about it. It certainly has some...
It's definitely a discussion-worthy episode. I guess were you done with your smartest, dumbest, Mr. Bad?
No, I
think
not.
You were. Oh, no?
No, my smartest... I had started. Rick dumping Carol or banishing Carol. And Mr. Good was also the same. Dumbest for Mr. Good was Carol... for them taking Tyrese along because he thought that he was a mental case and unbalanced, which everybody seems to be in agreement with.
Right.
My dumbest was I really thought it was dumb to allow Carol to convince Rick to send those 2 hippie guys out. They were obviously not ready to go. They were lucky to be alive, and they should have. Rick knew that, and
Well, this is another good issue in terms of choice. Those 2 hippies, as dumb as they were, really wanted to pull their own weight and really wanted to go out there and do what they could and volunteered to do this, that, and the other. They even picked what they would do. Well, I can go sweep such and such. I'll go pick some fruit. I mean, you think Rick should have taken that choice away from them because he thought they were dumbasses, which they were. Or, you know, if they want to go, do it, go do it.
He's a leader, and he's more experienced. At a glance, you know, in a very short quick review of calculation, he knew they were not ready. He knew they were damn lucky to be alive. Give people a chance, support them, and give them a chance to learn. That's what you would do in a military situation if you were interested in making the group strong. If you weren't, you would use them as cannon fodder, or, you know, in any way that would benefit you. You wouldn't really care about whether or not they are going to grow that much because they're cannon fodder. Pretty much, you know, everybody is cannon fodder. Everyone's wearing a red shirt if it comes down to a Shane calculation. You know, there's Shane, and then there's everybody else around him wearing, you know, little Otises, you know, to be abandoned or killed, you know, or you know, hamstrung.
As dumb as these characters seem to be, I mean, they did have their own guns and their own knives. I mean, they have somehow survived this long. So you would just take their guns away and say, no, keep their guns, keep their knives. Just stay in the house till we get back, you know. There's plenty to do in the prison, you know, plenty of work to do, you know. Okay.
Yeah, I think that having two people, like healthy people, around the place, not like sick inside the blocks, would be nice.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it would be nice.
I think that right after, I think the guy said it, after they said that it took them an entire magazine to kill one zombie, I think that Wick never should have let him out.
Well, he said it usually takes us about 5 shots. But, I mean, he didn't tell them to take on zombies. He told them just, you know, if they run into trouble, fire some shots in the air, we'll come a-running. And they never even shot their guns.
Well, first of all, they did the dumbest thing. They split up from each other. They're two weak characters who can barely survive together, so they split up. So, someone could...
Do what?
I said, let's search for clues. No.
But no, but...
And they told Rick and Carol that they were going to split up. One guy was like, I'm going to look in these houses. And the chick was like, I'm going to go pick some fruit. And they told them that. And nobody said, like, you guys might want to stick together. You know, buddy system. So that was kind of, I don't know, a missed opportunity to give some...
It was, you know, from my point of view, it was a missed opportunity for Rick to step up and say, hey, this is a test. I want you to follow some orders to take some leadership. Yeah. Let's see if you can do it. That's as important to me as you going out there and be able to dodge zombies and grab some fruit.
Yeah, yeah.
Because not everybody has to be Daryl or Michonne. They don't have to be great zombie killers or brave. There's lots to do in a zombie apocalypse, you know.
Yeah, but at the same time, Mr. Bad, smooth seas do not make good sailors.
They give you a chance to learn lots of things you need to know. You know, you don't want to be in a storm trying to figure out how to tie, you know, the rigging down. Mm. So you better you know, have lots of practice and have lots of good people to tell you how to do something, so that when you get into a situation, you're not trying to figure it out from scratch.
That's true, but they were really not in a storm situation. I mean, there were not that many zombies around there.
But they were idiots. They were holed up in a bathroom for 2 days by one zombie, and they had knives and guns. All they had to do was open the door enough for the zombie to put his head through, push the door against it, and push the gun against the head. You're not going to... It don't take 5 shots if the zombie's head is caught in a door.
Maybe they were just too stupid to live.
But I had compassion for them. Mr. Good also thought they were great characters. You liked them. As soon as you saw them, you knew they were idiots, but you liked them. When he threw that piece of fruit, here we've got fruit, and Rick just has the gun pointed at him. It's like, okay, how did you morons survive this long?
I have to say I did not like them very much, but I wouldn't have minded if they stuck around. But I wasn't exactly surprised when they did.
I didn't think it was really realistic that they were alive that long. Like, either they were like shifting from group to group, or they just got out the back door from like the last known military base. Like, I don't know. I guess somehow.
I have heard a theory going around that maybe that Sam dude was like not what he appeared to be. That maybe he was like a governor secret agent or something.
Oh my God.
But I don't hold with that particular theory myself. But there has been some speculation that those two people just didn't really add up for the situation that they were in. But no, I think they were just idiots.
Yeah, I think they were idiots.
And you could tell they were actually happy because they had each other. They were happy that they were alive. That's why they stayed in the goddamn bathroom, because they were afraid. And they still had smiles on their face because they still had food left. Why go out? Why risk yourself when we have food? They sort of knew they were incompetent, so it's like, when we run out of food, I guess that's the time to go out.
Or did they know? I mean, if they knew they were incompetent, you'd think they wouldn't, yeah, sure, we want to help. Yeah, I'll go do this. I'll go do that. No problem. We get, you can't carry us. We need to pee, we need to pull our own weight.
Yeah, that was the wrong thing to say.
I mean, they didn't have to be talked into anything.
No, they didn't. No, but foolish people often have to be restrained. You know that, Sergeant. Especially in the military. There's a lot of morons in the military who just need to cool their jets and follow the sergeant's order, I think.
That is very true, but it is still more or less a free country, and it's not against the law to be an idiot.
That's very true, yes.
You can't necessarily take somebody's choice away just because you think maybe they're not the smartest, sharpest knife in the drawer.
No, and you can't force them. Rick could not really force them. Once he leaves the door, they're free to go out and get food if they want. But he could have said, "Hey, this is. I would like you to stay here. I'm not gonna. If you want to come back to the farm, perhaps you need to start to learn to follow some orders. That's a good thing."
Did you have something, Michael? I thought I heard you start to say something.
No, I didn't have anything.
Okay.
Did you give your smartest, dumbest yet, Sergeant?
I don't think I have. For my smartest, I have Carol fixing the guy's arm. I thought that was pretty impressive and pretty smart. And for my dumbest, I actually have Rick banishing Carol as my dumbest. I got an honorable mention for Bob having nothing in his bag but one bottle of booze. But I'm going to give it to Rick banishing Carol because I think that was probably the stupidest option he could have taken out of all the options he took. Because what's he going to tell the group? And he goes back and what? He could lie and say she died, but if she pops up again, then bingo, he's completely lost the trust of the group. He could tell them the truth, that he found out that she's the killer, and he gave her a car and some gas and set her free. And people are either going to think that, he sentenced her to death without the approval of the council by, sending her off on her own, or people are going to think, he set a murderer free and let her get away with it. And either way, I mean, it looks really bad for Rick. I think the smartest thing was to bring her back and have the group decide.
Well, I'm in disagreement, but I honor your belief there. I think it certainly is valid. I actually think.
What's that?
I was just going to try to say why I thought it was smart, because I thought Rick was right. Tyrese was going to try to kill her right off the bat. So
you can't have that. You can't have people taking the law into their own hands like that.
Absolutely.
Then he needs to be brought, held accountable for his actions too.
which very, very possibly could mean somebody else is going to die, or several people could be injured or dead.
I mean, if your ultimate objective is to rebuild a society, then this is how you do it. You bring people back, and you have the group decide. You don't go lone wolf. You don't let Carol get away with going lone wolf, and you don't let Tyrese go lone wolf to take revenge on Carol.
I would say that there has to be a starting point before that. You actually have to establish rules, tell people what the rules are, and say there are consequences, and say what the consequences are. Because up until this point, they really haven't had that.
This would have been a great opportunity to start by bringing her back, laying out the situation they have, and figuring out what the rules need to be if they don't already have something that covers this.
Well, I think he did a compassionate and humane thing by giving Carol a second chance. And that's what he really did. From my point of view, if you take her back, she's going to face justice, either Tyrese's justice or the council's justice, and she murdered 2 people. So as far as I'm concerned, she's going to pay for that murder.
I think the only person who wouldn't have wanted that to happen is Rick. I think even Carol would come back to face justice. I think everybody else at that prison would have wanted her there facing justice. The only person who didn't want her to come back and face justice was Rick.
Well, maybe that's the best person to have leadership then, is the person who has some compassion for the guilty.
It's not compassion. He said himself, "I'm doing this for me."
Well,
those were his exact words.
he does not think that Carol, in her current state of mind and morality, is safe to be around.
It's a prison.
Who wants to imprison somebody? Give them a second chance.
Well, maybe after she's been in prison for a while, she can get on parole. I mean, this is the guy who, let Merle in, gave him a gun, and trusted him to do what's right. And what Merle done compared to what the things Merle has done compared to what Carol has done, there's just no comparison there even.
That's an interesting point. But I think you could actually make the argument that Merle knew that he had done evil. He acknowledged that he was wrong, and in some respects, he says it pretty straight out to Michonne. Yeah, I was following orders just like the SS, just like the Nazis. That was, I murdered
people. That's not admitting you did wrong. That's admitting you followed orders.
No, it's orders to murder people.
It's not my fault. I was just doing what they told me to do.
When he's talking to Michonne, when he has her bound up, I think it comes out clearer. He starts talking about how he's never murdered nobody before the zombie apocalypse, and in fact, it was only after he got with the governor that he murdered like 16 people.
I think it was more like 6, but yeah.
Oh, I thought he said 16.
I don't.
I thought it was a big number. But I think he accepted that. He saw that he was evil. He didn't. I think that goes to the whole point about, can you come back? He wasn't sure he could, but he actually wanted to do something positive. So he sacrificed himself to try to kill the governor. So I think that's different than Carol, who doesn't see that she did anything wrong, and that's the biggest reason why.
I don't know. At one point, I think Carol did say that she made a bad decision. I believe I recall that happening at some point during this episode. And what I think we have in Carol's case is flawed judgment. I don't think it was evil. I mean, I don't think she did anything, to be malicious. I don't think this was evil. This was pragmatism. She thought she was doing the right thing. Well, maybe she was wrong. But
that's an interesting question. Would you rather have a pragmatist who has no compassion
She doesn't have no compassion.
I don't know. She killed those people. She was pretty cold around the kids. I didn't really think she had much compassion going.
I didn't think she was cold around the kids.
Oh, I did. You know, when she told young Lizzie that, you know, you're weak and you got to get strong, minutes, hours after her dad died from the zombie. And
and then later she told her she was strong.
She's crazy, too.
I mean, it's almost like it's almost drill sergeant style, you know? The drill sergeant, I mean, tough love. I mean, just because he's talking tough to the guys he's trying to train doesn't mean he doesn't have compassion for them.
That's
just the manner of delivery.
But, the big difference about the drill sergeant is that if you get booted out of boot camp, you don't get eaten by a zombie. In their situation, people like the two hippie people, you're either going to help them and protect them and give them some, help, or they're going to die. So you either make a calculation saying the group's going to be strong for having some people who are a little weak. Maybe they have other skills. I mean, you need skills. Maybe these people can actually learn something. They can read, give them some books to read, and maybe they can figure out how to do many of the tasks we need to do to keep society at any technological level going. There ain't that many people left. I think they're a scarce commodity, a valuable commodity, and we need to try to protect the remaining humans.
They had very simple jobs to do, and they picked their own jobs. And all they had to do, if they saw something bad, is shoot their gun in the air one time, and they would have come a-running. I mean...
Well, I think ego, everybody has some kind of ego in it, and at different times it is a big failure. And nobody wants to come off looking weak. Everybody wants to say, I have something to contribute, I'm valuable, I'm strong, I can do things.
I guess
that's not always correct. Some people are dumbasses.
I guess knowing what they knew at the time, that they volunteered to go pick some more fruit or whatever, I just don't feel like there was enough to say, no, you guys are too incompetent to go do this. And I think that's why Rick didn't stop him. I don't think there was enough to make that call. And if they wanted to go do it, free country, go do it.
23 minutes to quarantine failure.
And maybe you see some of what these people, are like in action. I mean, it's almost like Rick following the Irish lady to see what she'll do.
Oh, right, right. Exactly.
In a way, it was another test. It was a test for these two people to see, what they would do. I mean, what kind of dynamic would they add to the group? Are they going to be, so idiotic that they could make a situation that's even more dangerous than the situation would be without them? Give them enough rope to hang themselves with. In this case, they hung themselves.
Well, see, my point of view is that there are some people, it's like the military. If you're going through boot camp and you're trying to get over the obstacles and you're just too fucking clumsy, maybe you have other skills, though, that make it worth your while to carry those stupid fucks around. Maybe you can repair that machine gun in the dark. Maybe you know something about coordinating, artillery fire, which I certainly don't know a dick about. We were talking about the, sailing. Maybe you actually know how to use what they call that? Not a quadrant, a sextant. Maybe you know actually how to use a sextant so we can know where the fuck we're going. I don't know how to do that. I have physical strength. I have maybe a certain level of cool-headedness. I'm not going to piss my pants and get in panic. But people who panic and people who are dumbasses or dopic or uncoordinated, they still have value.
I agree. I just don't think that. I mean, you're talking like they threw these two people away, and I don't think that's what happened. I think that they chose their own jobs, and that there was no reason to think that they couldn't do these jobs. I mean, they've survived this long. They do have their own guns. Maybe they can't get headshot after headshot like Rick can, but I mean, they must have some level of competence, right? I mean, they seem to think that they can go pick some more fruit. They seem to think they can scope out this house.
Yes. I can't disagree with anything you're saying, Sergeant. All I can say was it was damn obvious they were red shirts. I like them. I like them with their dumb ass grins, tossing the fruit down. You can tell they liked each other. They were in love. They were destined to die.
You realize my name for hippie girl? That's actually a pun, right?
A hippie girl? No. What's the pun?
Because she's got the gimpy leg.
Oh, hippie girl with the gimpy leg. Yeah.
Yep. Did she have a name? I heard the other guy, the dude was named Sam. Did she have a name at all?
I didn't hear it. Michael, did you hear the girl's name? Michael's still there.
I wonder if we put him to sleep. Wake up, Michael! Wake up! We bored him to death.
We already, maybe lost the connection or his cell phone. I can try to get him a message.
Like the line is still open. We'll just keep talking unless he shows up.
Maybe he went to the bathroom or something. Yeah. Maybe he's hiding in the bathroom. Maybe there's a zombie outside and he's just waiting for Rick to come along.
That kind of leads into questions raised. There's been some speculation as to whether Sam actually is still alive, whether he might show up at some point. What do you think, Mr. Bay?
Well, he had to watch, so he knew it was well past the time where he was supposed to be there. The only thing I could think of, if he's still alive, he saw that his girlfriend was dead, and he was stuck. Emotionally and physically, he couldn't leave her. Maybe he killed the zombies. Maybe he was burying her.
Why do you think that no shots were fired? How come neither one of them shot any bullets at all?
Because they were big dumbasses, people panic. It's not like they put their gun in their belt. And they go for it, and then they fling the gun away because they're doping. Or they drop it, and then instead of picking it up and being calm, they run. And now they're too far away from the gun, and the zombies are closer. Oh, what do? I go back, and then I get eaten.
Wow. Okay. Let's see. I don't really have any quotes. Do you have any quotes?
I really, really enjoyed the dialogue between Liz and Carol at the beginning, where she was talking about the zombies, and she said, "We all change. We don't get to stay the same we started," and that was so apropos for Carol. And then Carol said, "You fight. If you don't give up, then you change." She was really talking about Carol's metamorphosis over the 4 seasons of The Walking Dead.
Yeah, change seems to be the theme for this episode, I would say. Yes. Okay. Well, you want to move into Walker of the Week, I guess?
Oh, sure.
Okay. Hit it. Walker of the Week. Okay, Mr. Bad, who's your Walker of the Week?
I'm going to apologize for this. I'm going to have to say Carol. I thought Carol was the Walker of the Week for me, no better than a Walker. For purging, for consciously trying to purge her own humanity and compassion. She consciously tried to do that.
Completely disagree.
I thought she thought that was a weakness. I thought she was on the process. I'm not saying she's completely down the path or is irreparable or can't come back, but she definitely was seeing compassion as weakness.
16 minutes to
That's what I
quarantine
think.
failure.
And I disagree.
All right.
I think she even mentioned something about compassion when she talked about how it was the right call for those two to come back to prison with them. But oh well.
That was interesting now because Rick really was pushing her about that. But he was saying like, "Do you think it's right?" Because I think he was still trying to test her there. I think he was trying to pull Rick's old 3 questions on Carol. The whole dialogue between them was really Rick, giving different versions of his 3 questions to whether he was going to bring Carol back.
Maybe. Another podcast, actually, someone emailed another podcast with the amusing observation to what if those two had lived, with Rick had still banished.
15 minutes to quarantine failure.
Dang. Wow, we're almost out of time. Would Rick have still banished Carol? Like, okay, it's time to go right to prison. Oh, the Carol lady, she's not coming with us. I'm banishing her. You can come.
I'm cutting her loose.
Yeah.
You can take her bunk, We got an opening now.
That'd be kind of a bad first impression, I think.
I would agree, yes.
Okay, so your Walker of the Week was Carol. I guess Michael is not back yet. Michael, you there? No, he is not. Okay, my Walker of the Week, I'm going to give it to Expendable Bob for going to the veterinary college to pack all sorts of drugs into his pack, and all he put in there was a bottle of booze. There was plenty of room, not one single bottle of drugs, just booze. Just one bottle of booze and nothing else. That was ridiculous. Okay, let's go into the Roger Award.
Oh, hold on. Mr. Good's Walker of the Week was also Carol.
Oh, okay.
Here we go.
Roger, and there's a lot to get done before you can afford to lose me.
Roger.
We got this, man. We got this by the ass. Roger, move! Let's go, baby. You all right?
Perfect, baby. Perfect.
Roger! Roger, watch it! Steady! Whoa!
Okay, this, of course, is the award we give to the character we think get the most ass in the episode, but who we think has a reasonable chance of potentially getting killed off at some point, or perhaps even did get killed off in this episode. So who gets your Roger Award, Mr. Bad?
Well, I'm going to agree with Mr. Good, because I thought the hippie couple showed guts. I would agree with Mr. Good.
Yes, they did. I definitely saw guts.
Lots of guts, yes. That they were willing to go out and risk and pull their own weights, and unfortunately, they were idiots and they died quickly.
So a joint award for both Sam and his gimpy girlfriend?
Yes, gimpy hippie girl.
Okay. And I will give my Roger Award to, can you guess who I'm going to give it to?
Carol.
That's right. I didn't really have anything for zombie behavior. You got anything, or shall we skip that one?
I think we can skip it. I have nothing off the top of my head.
All right, let's.
Although it was interesting to see, that zombie just fall down the steps. I think that goes back to the zombies on the roof of the with the helicopter, thinking, that they probably would have just fallen off that roof or.
Well, they had the ones on the roof didn't have food down there that they wanted to get at, and the one at the top of the steps did, which would explain why it didn't fall down the steps until Rick and Carol were down there, pretty much. Whoops, dropped something.
So we're in the survival segment.
Yeah, let's move into the survival segment.
Give me that dog.
What do you mean?
I mean, give me that dog.
What do
are you going to do with him? You can't open the doors to let him out. The bomb's liable to go off.
The dog's got to go. We're going to need every bit of air to breathe ourselves. After a while, we'll be laying on the floor to get fresh air.
But he's just a little dog. He doesn't breathe.
We can't have him here.
No.
Dog's got to go.
Don't you touch him.
Wait a minute. Won't do you any good to cry. It's all over. A little while you'll be thanking me. Get rid of that dog's going to help an awful lot.
Oh, my God.
You'll be glad we don't have that extra pair of lungs when you're laying here gasping for breath.
Okay, tonight's scenario is you're Carol, and you have just been banished by Rick. What do you do, Mr. Bad?
That's a good question. What do I do? Well, let's see. I've got a car. I have a little bit of gas. I think I have some knives.
Yep, man.
I think the basic thing is I want to try to find a house so I can try to, like the community they were just in, try to find someplace that's not too overwhelmed. But you can try to...
Incidentally, Mr. Bad, that's like an extra shitty thing about what Rick did. Because, I mean, she's just packed for this run. I mean, who knows what all possessions and things that are dear to her are still back at the prison that she can't get now.
Well, you say that, but I saw something when they were still at the prison, and Rick had the back of the Hyundai open, and he opens up a bag or something that's wrapped up, and he sees a whole bunch of knives.
Yeah, it's her little knife roll thing that she had for a knife class.
Why did she have that? Why did she pack that though?
In case she needed some knives.
Who needs? That's like John Locke taking 100 knives. I mean, she had that one, kick-ass brass knuckle knife deal going.
Quite honestly, Steve, I think the real reason that was there was to show us that one of the knives in that roll was missing, and then switch scenes over to Carol asking Lizzie if she still had her knife on her, and her showing that the knife was on her hip. I think that roll was mainly there just to show us that Lizzie still had the knife that Carol gave her.
That I was unsure. I thought maybe Carol had taken the knives because she was thinking that she might leave, and she wanted, she was packing, some survival gear.
I don't think so. You need more. You need a lot more than a roll of knives.
I don't know. John Locke, that's all he took with him. He had about 100 knives and that pathetic book on survival.
Yes. So what would you do, Mr. Bad, or you're not sure what you would do?
Well, I think the first thing is to try to find a relatively safe house, and then to scope out and to try to collect some food so that I have, even if it's just 2 or 3 days worth of food, that I can, then move on down the road, try to explore a little bit, try to start to try to see if I can find any signs of other people, other groups, because you don't want to just blunder into other groups. That can be very dangerous and very, for a lot of different reasons. But I think just making a base, trying to collect some food, so that I'm not hand-and-mouthing it all the way.
Okay. I would drive right back to the prison and throw myself in the mercy of the court.
Well, Tyrese is going to kill you.
Well, that's up to the court.
But there is no court. You haven't established a court yet.
Well, I guess you better get working on that. Or else you're going to have a murder on your hands. Okay. Okay, let's go into the inventory segment. I think this is a pretty good segue.
Backgammon's the oldest game in the world. You need to throw a knife with the heaviest part forward. It's my favorite game, actually. I used to play it with my brother. It's called Mousetrap. It's called a trebuchet, Boone. Trebuchet delivers half a ton of force. This is a 30 caliber M1 Garand rifle. It looks new. Your story beats the hell out of mine. All that was in my suitcase was a bunch of knives.
tonight's inventory item is the United Cutlery Sentry Serrated Tanto, which is the knuckle knife that Mr. Bad observed Carol using. She had it last episode, and we saw quite a bit of it this episode. That is actually a knife that we saw in the lid of John Locke's case on Lost. The version that Locke had in his case had an all-black handle. The one that Carol had kind of a silver and black handle, but same knife. It's a knife of medium quality, probably best suited as a sort of trench knife for close quarters combat. Of course, that makes it pretty good for zombies. The grip is made of some sort of base metal, so if nothing else, you can use it like a set of brass knuckles. It's got a pretty versatile sheath. It can be worn as a shoulder holster on your belt or clipped inside your boot. The sheath is completely reversible for left-handed people and has a pretty handy way of holding the knife in place without any need for a retaining strap. And that's the United Cutlery Sentry Serrated Tanto. Pretty cool knife.
I have to agree with you there. I'm not sure if it's a knife I would want to have in a lost situation where I'm on a stranded island, but in a zombie situation, that might be my top knife, both for zombies with the knuckles, you could punch them or you can stab them. Once you get your fingers in that grip, you have a firm grasp on the knife, and I thought that would be very important, especially trying to go, if you can't go underneath the chin to get to the brain, going through the skull, you really want to have a firm grip on that knife. That's the one thing about The Walking Dead I don't agree with, is how easily people puncture the head with knives. The skull
that's a knife that's still pretty easy to get. Maybe you should add that one to your collection, Mr. Bad. It's not even that expensive.
I could never bring myself to carry that around, though. That's a knife for killing people with.
Well, you could just, have it at your house.
If I was going to have something for protection, I think I actually might have a gun.
A gun.
Well, I don't own a gun, but I'm just saying that to me is a self-defense knife. I think you captured it, the essence there. It's a trench fighting knife for desperate, murderous, mayhem.
Murderous mayhem self-defense. Gotcha.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I guess Michael's still gone. Michael gone. Okay. Well, I guess not. Okay. I guess we'll go into the spoiler quarantine.
Initiating spoiler quarantine.
Okay, I got a couple of comic book-based predictions, possibly.
Oh, good.
And I've heard these echoed a little bit, although not just copying them. I thought of it too, and then I heard somebody else say it. Well, one of these I've heard somewhere else. One theory is that Lizzie and Mika are the television's version of the twins from the comics. That's mainly due to Lizzie talking about how, people die and then they come back and the zombies are still people. And one of the twins kind of thought the same thing and ended up killing the other twin and didn't really care about it because he figured, his brother would just come back again as a zombie. Do you remember that, Mr. Ben?
No, I actually, that's a spoiler for me, but that's okay. I never got that far. I put off doing some of the comics for a little while.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so one twin kills the other, and the adults are like, oh crap, what are we gonna do now? We've got this little kid murderer. So later that night, Carl decides to solve the problem, and he kills the other twin.
Oh my God!
So we might have a situation where Lizzie kills Mika, and then Carl kills Lizzie. So we'll see if that pans out.
I can definitely say they're not going to have one 11-year-old girl kill another 10-year-old sister, and then have Carl murder another little girl. That's not going to happen on cable television.
The other thing I've got is Carol. I think they might be slotting her into the role that Andrea had in the comics. In the comics, during the prison arc, Andrea and Dale leave at one point. They decide the prison is no longer safe. And then as the prison is being attacked and overrun, they show up again. They come back, all of a sudden, and Andrea uses her sniping skills to basically save the day at that point. So I think there's a pretty good chance that something similar might happen with Carol in this case. When the shit goes down at the prison, as we all kind of think it eventually will, I think Carol might be the one to show up unexpectedly and start sniping, from behind, from behind the enemy, so to speak, and, kind of save the day.
That's very interesting.
15 seconds to quarantine failure.
What was that,
That's okay,
Steve?
because the rest
7,
of it, in response to
5,
that, I think we can talk
4,
about in predictions
3,
about things for
2, 1.
I'd actually forgotten we hadn't done predictions yet. But okay, let's go into predictions then.
The Dharma Initiative called it the lamp.
This man and his team created a series of equations which tell us with a high degree of probability where it is going to be at a certain point in time.
Event window determined. Extrapolating sound and vision.
Okay, Steve, you got a prediction for me?
I'm going to start by giving you Mr. Goods. His prediction about Carol, not only will she come back this season, but that she'll meet up with the governor, and that she'll come back with the governor. And I thought that was interesting because maybe in regards to what you said during the spoiler, maybe she'll have some role of saving the group by turning on the governor as he's attacking the prison.
So you think she'll come back in league with the governor?
Not so much in league. I think she may. This is Mr. Good. He thought that Carol would meet the governor. Now the governor never saw Carol, so she doesn't know that she was ever really part of the prison.
Right.
And but
Carol knows who the governor is.
Yeah, the one-eyed dude. She should be able to pick out, hopefully there aren't that many one-eyed bastards running around the zombie apocalypse.
I mean, you say Good says Carol will meet the governor and come back with the governor.
Well,
she'll
become part of his group, either by force or, just for survival purposes. And I just thought it was interesting. If that happens, then I could see her maybe having a role saving the people by attacking the governor during an assault on the prison.
That's your prediction or Good's prediction?
That's my prediction.
Okay, so Good's prediction was just that Carol would meet with the governor and basically join his group and then come back with him.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay, and your prediction, Mr. Bad?
Oh, is that Carol will meet up with the governor and just sort of, go in for survival. I think the governor will be in sort of full-on pirate mode. You're either prey or you're a pillager, so she'll sort of just fall in so she doesn't become prey. And then when the governor finds the prison, she'll eventually turn on the governor to protect her old friends, but probably die in the process.
Okay, so Carol will join the governor's group, but then eventually turn on him and save the day, and will or won't die? Let's pick one.
Oh, will die, yes, will die.
Process. All right. And I will predict, I think I'm gonna take Carol's word about her saying that she would not leave without the girls. I think that she is going to remain near the prison with the goal of protecting those girls, and like maybe in the woods nearby or something. I think she's going to tough it out nearby the prison, and when the shit hits the fan, that's when she's going to show up again. And still no Michael. No, Michael. Oh, well, I think we've drawn to the end of our little podcast. I'm surprised we ran so long with only like 3 people. It's impressive.
No, we had a very spirited discussion. I think that, for episodes, that we rate, some people rate it lowly, it really sparked a lot of intense conversation.
Yes, it did. Well, as Karen DeGroot herself has written, careful observation is the only key to true and complete awareness. Next Door Goody will last 1 week, and during that time, you will observe The Walking Dead, a sociological experiment in progress. What is the nature of the experiment, you might ask? What do these subjects believe they are accomplishing as they kill Karen and David and then burn their bodies? Perhaps you, as the observer, can find out. Each time your hate mail is filled with the fruits of your diligent observation, send it to Station7, the door, @gmail.com, and presto. It'll be transported directly to us. Or you can leave us a voicemail at 252-377-1087. We encourage initial reactions, Roger Awards, Walkers of the Week, things of that nature. You can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/groups/Station7 The Door. And you can find us at losttv-forum.com, looking in the Walking Dead area or in the Lost Search for Answers area. And I guess that's about it. Thanks for joining us, Mr. Bed. Thanks for being here, Michael, as long as you were. Sorry that something seems to have happened to you. Maybe the zombies got you. I don't know. Hopefully we will not find your chewed off leg later. If you're in trouble, Michael, just fire a shot and we'll come running. So with that in mind, on behalf of the DeGroots, Alvar Hanso, Hans Van Hagen, and all of us at the Dharma, namaste.
Mr. Bad Robot.
Call recording has been completed.
Goodbye.
Well, it looks like my internet crashed, so that means the episode's over.
Say, Rick, it's me, old Theodore Douglas. Of course, you knew me as T-Dog back in the day. Funny how nobody calls me that anymore. What's even funnier still, Rick? I don't seem to mind. Feels sort of right in a way it never did before. Of course, everything is different now. Different for you, too, it seems. Things are looking pretty rough in the tombs these days. Maybe not as rough as that last day I spent in them, but close. Seems like an eternity since I was with you all, but then time runs a little differently for me now. But you've come a long way in that time, Rick. When I first met you, you were still trying to be a lawman. But then the world started to change you, and you turned to a dark path, Rick. Glad to see you managed to come off it. I'm giving you a call today, Rick, because of Carol. You know, I still remember that last day in the tombs with pride. It's comforting to me to know that I faced my fear that day and stayed true. Yes, it was God's plan that day in the tombs when the walkers swarmed over us. He took care of me and gave me the strength to do what I needed to do to give Carol another chance. And it was God who looked after her in those dark corridors till Daryl found her. But you know, she still needed caring for even after that, Rick. Why couldn't you take care of her? I guess you had your own issues and your son to look after, but she still needed guidance. Just like God guided her through those walker-infested tunnels after I was gone, she and all the rest of them in the tombs, yeah, they need someone to show them the path to the light. Yeah, they need to stick together and remember they're all God's children. You are your brother's keeper, Rick. Turning Carol away that way, well, it's hard for me to bear. What she did was wrong, well, but I guess you did give her a chance, and now, well, she's in God's hand again. But you need to hear this, Rick. You may not be a lawman anymore, and God knows I don't want you to be a dictator over life and death, but you need to be more than a farmer. They all need someone, Rick. Someone to give them the strength to stick by each other, to help each other, to take risks for each other. That's the only way they're going to make it in the world today. But they need help. You've seen how easy it is to become like Shane or that bastard governor. Yes, God's got a plan for you, Rick Grimes. You've got to stay true for the sake of your boy and baby girl. You've got to help build a new world for them to live in. But for that to happen, well, someone's got to step up to be a leader for their safety and their souls. Guess you pulled the short straw, Rick, on that account, 'cause from where I stand, sure looks like it's up to you. And don't you think you've seen the last of Carol? The man up here's got a plan for her, and I'm pretty sure you'll be crossing paths again. Just try and be on the right path when you meet her again. Oh, in case you didn't know, your old friend T-Dog, well, I always had a song in my heart. So here's one to remember Carol by. No, Carol, no cry. No, Carol, no cry. No, Carol, no cry. Said I remember when we used to sit in the campsite outside of Atlanta. Shane and Rick assisting the impoverished as they would guard the good people we meet. Good friends we have had and good friends we've lost along the way. In this nightmare future, you can't forget your past. So dry your tears, I say. No, Carol, no cry. No, Carol, no cry. Here, little Lizzie and Micah, don't shed no tears. No, Carol, no cry. Said I remember when we used to sit in the campsite outside of Atlanta. And then Jim would make the firelight as those logwood embers would burn in through the night. Then we would cook catfish fillets, of which Amy and Andrea shared with us. Carol's crime is her only tarnish, so now she's got to push on through all those walkers. Everything's gonna be alright. 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 Hey, everything's gonna be alright. So no Carol, no cry. No banter. And then Jim would make the firelight as those logwood embers be burning through the night. Then we would cook catfish fillets, of which Amy and Andrea shared with us. Carol's crime is her only tarnish, so now she's got to push on through all those walkers. But while she's gone, no Carol, no cry. No Carol, no cry. Oh, little Daryl, don't shed no tears. No Carol, no cry. Oh, little Daryl, don't shed no tears. No Carol, no cry, I say. Little Daryl, don't shed no tears. No Carol, no cry.
They hung a sign up in our town. If you live it up, you won't live it down. So she left Monte Rio's son, just like a bullet leaves a gun. With a charcoal eyes and Monroe hips, she went and took that California trip. Oh, the moon was gold and her hair like wind. Said, don't look back, just come on, Jim. Oh, you got to hold on, hold on. You got to hold on, take my hand, standing right here, you got to hold on. Dime store watch and a ring made from a spoon. Everyone's looking for someone to blame. When you share my bed, you share my name. Well, go ahead and call the cops. You don't meet nice girls in coffee shops. She said, baby, I still love you. Sometimes there's nothing left to do. Oh, but you got to hold on, hold on. Baby, gotta hold on and take my hand. Standing right here, you gotta hold on. Well, God bless your crooked little heart. St. Louis got the best of me. I miss your broken China voice. How I wish you were still here with me. Oh, you build it up, you wreck it down, then you burn your mansion to the ground. Oh, there's nothing left to keep you here. But when you're falling behind in this big blue world, oh, you've got to hold on, hold on. Baby, gotta hold on, take my hand, standing right here, gotta hold on. Down by the Riverside Motel, it's thin below and falling. closed her eyes and started swaying. But it's so hard to dance that way when it's cold and there's no music. Oh, your old hometown so far away, but inside your head there's a record that's playing a song called Hold On, Hold On. Baby, gotta hold on to take a mind. Standing right there, gotta hold on. You gotta hold on, hold on. Baby, gotta hold on, take a mind. Standing right there, gotta hold on. You gotta hold on, hold on. Baby, gotta hold on and take a mind. Standing right here, you gotta hold on. You gotta hold on, baby, gotta hold on and take a mind. Standing right here, you gotta hold on. 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 You gotta hold on, baby. You gotta hold on. You gotta hold on, you gotta hold on.